The night was absolute, a blanket of darkness so thick it seemed to swallow sound itself. High above the jagged peaks, a crescent moon offered only a faint silver glow, insufficient to illuminate the terrain below. SEAL Team 6, the most elite operators in the United States Navy, hovered in a Black Hawk helicopter over the hostile mountain range along the border. Inside the cramped cabin, Lieutenant Jason Cole checked the faces of his six-man team. Each was silent, their eyes hardened and focused under the dim glow of the cockpit lights. Cole ran through the mission in his mind one last time. Capture the high-value target, avoid civilian casualties, exfil under cover, simple in theory, dangerous in practice. "Steady, men," he whispered into his throat mic. "We drop in T-30. The rotors thumped against the night like a heartbeat, a constant reminder of how close they were to walking into a nest of vipers. Corporal Martinez adjusted his night vision goggles, scanning the ridges for the faintest hint of movement. "Feels too quiet," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. The team had been trained to trust instincts, and Martinez's unease was enough to make Cole pause. Silence had a way of amplifying danger in combat zones. The mountains weren't just hills, they were an ecosystem of shadows and ambush points. Every crevice could hide a sniper, every ridge a machine gun nest. Cole's jaw tightened. He had led dozens of missions, but even the seasoned operators could sense when something was off. "Eyes open. The minute we touch ground, we move fast. Stay low. Stay sharp," Cole ordered. His voice, calm but firm, carried the weight of authority, the kind that demanded attention without hesitation. The Black Hawk began its descent into the valley below, the skids scraping against loose gravel as the helicopter hovered just above the ground. Dust and small rocks erupted like tiny explosions around the landing zone. The SEALs dropped in almost silently, their black uniforms blending with the night as they melted into the shadows. Immediately, Cole noticed the eerie stillness. No rustling leaves, no distant shouts, not even the low drone of insects in the night air. It was unnatural, suffocating. He motioned for the team to spread out. "Davis, Martinez, check the ridge line. Garcia, you and I take point, Cole out." They moved like shadows, bodies low, weapons at the ready. Every step was deliberate, measured against the uneven terrain. The ravine that lay ahead was narrow, flanked by rock walls that rose like cliffs, jagged and unyielding. The only sound was the whisper of their boots against loose gravel and the faint hiss of distant wind. Hours earlier, intelligence reports had labeled this area high risk, but nothing could have prepared them for the oppressive quiet of the night. Cole signaled a halt as he spotted the faint outline of a goat path carved into the mountainside. "Path looks used recently," he said, his voice hushed. "Could be civilian traffic, could be enemy recon. We move slow, check corners, and don't assume it's empty." The team advanced cautiously. Martinez's eyes flicked to every shadow, every silhouette, every movement that didn't belong. In the world of SEALs, instinct often outweighed intel, and instinct screamed danger. Suddenly, a low clatter echoed from the far side of the ravine. A small rock tumbled down the slope, barely audible, yet enough to make the SEALs freeze. Weapons raised, Cole motioned them to the wall. "Wait," he whispered, "listen." The wind shifted. Somewhere above, a tree branch snapped. Martinez tensed. "They're here," he said softly, almost as if saying it aloud would summon the enemy. Cole scanned the ravine with night vision goggles. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Yet his gut told him the SEALs were being observed. Someone or something knew exactly where they were. "Stay alert. Remember your sectors," Cole reminded the team. "Eyes forward, trigger fingers ready, but don't give them an excuse." Minutes stretched into an eternity. Every rustle of wind, every distant sound of shifting rock, every shadow seemed like a potential threat. The SEALs advanced deeper into the ravine, bodies pressed against walls of stone, boots silent against the earth. The narrow path offered no room for mistakes. If they were ambushed here, retreat would be impossible. Then Cole saw it, a flicker of movement far above on a ridge. He froze, holding up a hand. Martinez followed his gaze. Ridge line movement could be recon. Cole's mind raced. A direct confrontation here would be suicide. They needed to move but also needed to stay alive. He tapped his mic. Eyes sharp. No engagement unless fired upon. Keep moving light and silent. As they moved, the SEALs felt the oppressive weight of the mountains pressing down on them. Each step was a negotiation with gravity and terrain, a test of stamina and nerves. They advanced slowly, cautiously, until the ravine widened slightly. For a moment there was a lull, a deceptive calm that made every SEAL uneasy. Then Martinez's hand shot up. "I've got something." Cole crouched beside him. A faint trail of footprints, fresh and deliberate, led deeper into the darkness. Not animal tracks, human. And these weren't random wanderers. They were tactical, disciplined, trained. "Enemy recon," Cole muttered. "We've walked into their territory." The SEALs pressed on, aware that at any moment the first shot could ring out and transform the silent night into chaos. Adrenaline surged, hearts raced, but training took over. Every movement was controlled, precise, fluid. They reached a small ledge overlooking the valley below. Cole's eyes scanned the landscape. Nothing seemed amiss, yet the feeling of being watched intensified. The team crouched, taking in every detail. The twists of the ravine, the shadows beneath trees, the silhouette of jagged rocks against the night sky. Then Martinez whispered almost inaudibly, "Something coming, I can feel it." Cole didn't respond. He didn't need to. They all felt it, the tension in the air, the pull of danger that lurked just out of sight. Somewhere in the darkness, eyes tracked their every move. Somewhere an ambush was waiting. And Cole knew that the night had only just begun. The SEALs had barely moved 50 meters when the first shot cracked through the night. It wasn't a warning, it was death itself, sharp and precise. The bullet struck the cliffside inches from Corporal Martinez's head, sending rock fragments spraying like tiny shrapnel. He dove instinctively, rolling into the gravel as his heart raced. "Contact, contact," Cole barked, his voice slicing through the night like a whip. The SEALs snapped into action, taking cover behind the jagged walls of the ravine, weapons raised and scanning every shadow. The enemy didn't rush. They didn't shout. They waited, disciplined, hidden in positions Cole couldn't even see. Tracer rounds flared sporadically, illuminating the dark silhouettes of rocks and trees for mere seconds before plunging everything back into near-total darkness. Davis fired a single round toward the ridge above. The sharp report echoed against the walls. No return fire. That was the worst part. They couldn't see their enemy, but the enemy could see them. "RPGs, possible machine guns, spread out," Cole ordered. "Stay in your sectors." The SEALs moved instinctively, dropping to low positions and adjusting to the uneven terrain. Martinez's shoulder throbbed where the bullet had grazed him. He cursed under his breath, grateful it hadn't been worse. Cole's eyes swept the dark ridges. He knew instantly they had walked into a carefully planned kill zone. The enemy had studied the terrain, chosen their firing positions, and timed their assault with precision. The SEALs were trapped. Garcia, crouched beside Cole, whispered, "They know us too much. This isn't just luck." Cole nodded. "They've done their homework. Every move we make is expected. Don't give them an inch." Suddenly, a hail of bullets raked the ground near Davis, sending dirt and rock flying. He fired back, kneeling on the uneven gravel, taking shots at fleeting targets he couldn't see. The SEALs had trained for ambushes, but this was something else entirely, a trap designed not just to kill, but to break them mentally. Time became a strange concept in the ravine. Seconds stretched into minutes. Each heartbeat thudded in the operator's ears, each breath measured and precise. The enemy's fire was sporadic but effective. One by one, the SEALs realized that escape through the narrow path would be impossible. They were pinned. "Fall back to the ledge," "Form a defensive perimeter," Cole commanded. The team obeyed instantly, moving as silently as the rough terrain would allow. They used the walls of the ravine for cover, crouched low, and fired with precision when necessary. A sharp whistle cut through the chaos, a signal the SEALs had trained for. It came from an enemy sniper. Martinez froze, recognizing the sound too late. Another round tore through the rocks above him, inches from his head. "Sniper," Cole shouted, scanning the ridge line with night vision. "Nothing. Take your sectors, don't stop moving." Even as bullets zipped overhead, the SEALs tried to coordinate. Radios crackled intermittently, static masking the other side. "We're pinned, ammo's running low," Martinez yelled. Cole's jaw tightened. They couldn't call for air support. The weather had grounded helicopters. Extraction was hours away at best. Cole clenched his teeth. "We survive until then. That's the mission now. Survive, regroup, and exfil. Nothing else matters." The enemy shifted tactics. Instead of continuous fire, they began firing in precise bursts, aiming to corral the SEALs into dead ends. The operators could feel the pressure mounting with each step. Every rock, every shadow, every ridge could conceal death. Davis glanced at Martinez. "Feels like we're being funneled like rats." Cole's eyes narrowed. "Exactly. Stay calm, anticipate their moves. We control our reactions or we die." Minutes dragged on, punctuated by sudden bursts of gunfire. A flash grenade went off above them, illuminating the cliffside for an instant. In the brief light, Cole caught sight of enemy silhouettes moving with coordinated precision, trained soldiers, not mere local militia. "Reinforcements, they're professionals," he muttered. "This is worse than we thought." The SEALs adjusted their formation, creating a staggered line along the ravine walls, firing suppressive shots to keep enemy heads down. The narrow path limited their mobility, forcing them into a defensive stance. Every operator's senses were on high alert. Hearing, sight, touch, and instinct sharpened to near painful levels. Then a sharp metallic clang echoed through the ravine, a bullet striking a rock dangerously close to Martinez. He swallowed hard, nerves fraying but training held. The SEALs were still elite warriors, and survival depended on discipline. Cole signaled with a hand gesture, a shift to the left. They moved in silence, inching toward a slightly wider ledge that offered better defensive positioning. The movement was painstakingly slow, every step calculated, every footfall risking exposure. Finally, they reached the ledge. For a brief moment they could breathe. The enemy fire slowed as if the attackers were reassessing their trapped prey. Cole scanned the ravine with his night vision goggles. He noticed something chilling. The enemy had not fully revealed themselves. They were calculating, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Martinez lowered his weapon slightly, catching his breath. "We're in their trap," he muttered, "and I don't see a way out." Cole didn't reply. He didn't need to. He had already realized the truth. Survival would require more than skill and training. They would need patience, precision, and maybe a bit of luck, because every move they made from this point on could be their last. Somewhere in the darkness above the ridges he felt a presence. Not an enemy, not yet. Something else. A stillness that carried intent, precision, and a silent promise. The battle had only just begun. And then, just as the team began to regroup and assess their options, a single sound pierced the night. A faint crack of a rifle shot so silent it barely registered. Yet it sent shivers down every SEAL's spine. Cole froze. Martinez's eyes widened. The SEALs didn't yet know it, but the trap was only the beginning. Somewhere, unseen and unheard, a silent shooter had entered the battlefield. The night had grown darker, and the fight for survival was far from over. The ravine seemed to close in around them like a living thing. Every shadow, every ridge, every ridgeline crack could conceal a threat. SEAL Team 6 crouched low on the ledge they had fought to reach, hearts pounding, lungs tight, muscles screaming with exhaustion. Adrenaline kept them moving, but even the strongest warriors could only fight the creeping fatigue for so long. Lieutenant Jason Cole scanned the terrain with night vision goggles, sweeping every slope, every jagged rock, every tree for the faintest movement. The enemy had vanished, or at least they appeared to have disappeared, leaving an uneasy silence that felt worse than gunfire. Corporal Martinez adjusted his shoulder strap, wincing as the blood from his earlier graze seeped through. "We're running out of time and ammo," he muttered, voice tight with fatigue. His eyes darted over their limited supplies. Every operator knew it was true. They could not hold this position forever. Cole took a deep breath, forcing calm. "Davis, check ammo. Martinez, you're on lookout. Garcia, we need to establish a rotation covering all angles. We're holding until reinforcements arrive." The wind shifted, carrying a faint metallic scent like gunpowder mixed with iron and dust. Cole's gut clenched. Something was coming. They weren't alone. Minutes stretched, or maybe hours. Time blurred when every second could be your last. The team moved in small, deliberate shifts, crawling to better positions, adjusting their line of fire. Each move carried risk. One misstep could expose them to a bullet from a hidden sniper or machine gun nest. "Sir," Martinez whispered, pointing to a shadowed path far below, "I think they're flanking us." Cole's eyes narrowed. He had expected it. "We're being funneled," he said grimly. "Every move we make is anticipated. Hold your ground, don't give them the fight we can't win, but stay ready." The first whine of a rifle round cracked through the darkness, striking the ledge beside Davis. Gravel and rock exploded, spraying across his chest. He fired back instinctively, scanning for the shooter, but the enemy stayed hidden. It was psychological warfare, unseen, unpredictable, and deadly. Cole activated the team's encrypted comms. "Air support." Static answered. The storm had grounded the helicopters. They were on their own. The SEALs hunkered down, using the ledge walls and jagged rocks as cover. Every sound was amplified in the silence. The scrape of a boot on gravel, the hiss of wind over jagged rock, the faint creak of branches swaying. Their senses were at maximum, every nerve screaming that death could strike at any second. Martinez swallowed hard. "I didn't think it would feel like this, trapped, helpless." Cole didn't answer verbally. Instead, he scanned their perimeter, his mind racing through options. They couldn't move forward without being cut down. They couldn't retreat. The ravine offered no safe path. Every choice was dangerous, every step measured in inches and seconds. Then came a sound that made the hair on Cole's neck rise. A faint rustle above them, almost imperceptible like the brush of leaves. Martinez froze mid-breath. Davis's finger tightened on the trigger. Cole whispered, "They're close, too close." A bullet struck the ledge just above their heads, chipping rock and sending shards flying. The SEALs dove for cover instinctively. Even in the darkness, the precision was terrifying. The enemy wasn't rushing. They were controlling the fight, dictating every move. Hours seemed to pass like minutes. The SEALs rotated positions, keeping a defensive perimeter, firing only when absolutely necessary. Ammunition ran thin. Every magazine counted. They shared water quietly, conserving supplies. Davis whispered, "We're almost out. What do we do if they keep this up?" Cole's jaw tightened. "We survive. That's the mission now. Nothing else matters." Then, as if the night itself had decided to torment them further, a sudden flare illuminated the ravine. The enemy wasn't just attacking. They were studying them, analyzing weaknesses, forcing the SEALs into predictable positions. Cole signaled for suppressive fire. Tracer rounds erupted, illuminating the enemy's fleeting movements. Soldiers trained and coordinated, not wild fighters. They were professionals, and every second spent in the open increased the SEALs' risk. Somewhere above the ridge, Cole sensed another presence, something different. It wasn't the enemy. There was a stillness in the air, a calculated calm that made him uneasy. He didn't know it yet, but a silent observer had entered the battle, someone who would change the tide in ways they could not imagine. The SEALs continued to fight back, inching along the ledge, every motion a calculated risk. Bullets zipped past, some striking dangerously close, others burying themselves in rock with sharp, echoing thuds. The enemy's strategy was clear: wear them down, test their endurance, force them to make mistakes. Cole signaled Martinez to flank slightly to the left, moving under the cover of rocks. Davis followed, providing suppressive fire as Cole advanced. Every step was measured, deliberate. The SEALs moved like shadows, silent predators in a deadly dance. Time and again, the enemy opened fire, but Cole noticed something. The attacks weren't random. Someone or something was targeting key positions, avoiding unnecessary shots. The pattern was unsettling. "Davis," Cole whispered, "notice how they're picking their shots, not hitting everything, just enough to pressure us." Davis nodded, understanding immediately. "They're professionals, sir, trained." Cole's mind raced. They had been trapped, yes, but the enemy underestimated one thing. SEAL Team 6 didn't give up. Not in darkness, not under fire, not in impossible situations. Hours passed, with every SEAL moving with precision and discipline, conserving strength, conserving ammo, and preparing for whatever came next. They were pinned, exhausted, running low on supplies, but they were alive, and survival was the mission now. Cole paused, scanning the ridge again. Something moved, a shadow too calculated to be random. His pulse quickened. He signaled the team to hold position, watching intently. The enemy didn't notice the shift. Then came a sound so subtle, so perfectly timed, that it almost didn't register. The faint crack of a rifle. No muzzle flash. No whistling bullet. Just a single enemy soldier collapsing in silence, followed by another. Cole's eyes widened. What the hell? The SEALs didn't know it yet, but a new player had entered the battlefield. An unseen, unheard force. A silent shooter, precise beyond belief, would soon tilt the balance in their favor. But for now, they were still trapped. The night was long, the enemy patient, and the fight far from over. Every second that ticked by carried the weight of life and death, and the SEALs knew they would have to endure it until the first hint of dawn, or the arrival of the silent marksman who would change everything. The night had grown heavy, thick with tension. Every breath the SEALs took seemed amplified in the oppressive silence of the ravine. Their bodies ached, muscles trembling from adrenaline and exhaustion, minds sharpened to every flicker of shadow. Lieutenant Jason Cole crouched behind a jagged boulder, scanning the ridges above with night vision goggles. His team mirrored him. 6 elite warriors, trapped in a kill zone, pinned by an invisible enemy. Corporal Martinez whispered, "Sir, they're everywhere but nowhere at the same time." Cole's jaw tightened. He knew exactly what Martinez meant. The enemy wasn't charging, wasn't shouting. They weren't moving like a typical force. Every attack had been calculated, designed not to kill them outright but to corral, confuse, and crush their resolve. Then, without warning, something happened that would change the course of the night. A figure atop a distant ridge dropped silently. No muzzle flash, no crack of a rifle, just a single enemy soldier collapsing in the dirt, twitching briefly before lying still. Martinez froze mid-breath. Did you see that?" Cole shook his head, confusion and disbelief twisting his face. "No, but they're down." Moments later, another soldier fell, this time further along the ridge. Again, no sound, no visible attacker. The SEALs exchanged glances, adrenaline spiking with a mixture of fear and hope. "What the hell is happening?" Davis muttered. Cole didn't answer. He was watching, scanning, recalculating. The enemy seemed to hesitate now, their coordination faltering. The attacks, previously relentless, became scattered. Bullets hit rocks and dirt around the SEALs rather than forcing them into corners. Something, or someone, was dismantling the enemy silently, precisely, with lethal efficiency. "Sir," Garcia whispered, eyes wide. "Someone taking them out, not us, someone else." Cole's mind raced. Could it be a new enemy team, a counter-sniper? Impossible. They were alone in the valley. There had been no prior intel about reinforcements. Then a soft crack, so subtle it was almost swallowed by the wind, echoed across the ravine. Another enemy soldier dropped mid-step, this one trying to aim his rifle. Cole's pulse quickened. "Silent shooter," he muttered under his breath. The SEALs had trained for this scenario in theory. A hidden sniper, precise and invisible, could turn the tide of any battle. But in reality, encountering one was something else entirely. The team instinctively adjusted their formation, using every boulder and crevice for cover, but now their morale shifted. Fear remained, but it was tempered with cautious hope. Whoever this was, they were saving the SEALs' lives. Minutes passed like hours. The silent shooter's rhythm was deadly and mesmerizing. Every few seconds, an enemy soldier would collapse without warning, disrupting the once tight formation of the ambushers. Cole could see it clearly through night vision. The enemy was panicking. Coordination faltered. Orders went unheeded. Martinez whispered, awe creeping into his voice, Who is that?" Cole shook his head. "Don't know, but we need to keep moving before they regroup." He signaled for the team to advance slowly along the ledge, staying low and using cover. The silent shooter's precision gave them a rare window. They moved like shadows, aware that even a single misstep could be fatal, but empowered by the unseen ally picking off their enemy with surgical skill. As they moved, Cole began analyzing the pattern of the shots. It wasn't random. Every soldier targeted seemed to hold a position of control or communication. The silent shooter wasn't just killing. They were systematically dismantling the enemy command structure. "Sir, they're professionals," Davis muttered. "No one could be this good without training." Cole nodded, recognition dawning. Allied sniper, likely US or NATO, embedded long-term, we're lucky he's here. The SEALs continued their advance, each step a calculated risk. Bullets still zipped past, but fewer now, and those that did rarely found their mark. The enemy's discipline was breaking under invisible pressure. For the first time that night, Cole allowed himself to hope. Then another sound cut through the tense silence, a whisper through encrypted radio static. "SEALs, move to coordinates. I'll cover your advance, keep low." The voice was calm, measured, and authoritative. Cole recognized it instantly, professional, trained. A man who had seen combat, survived, and could operate in total isolation. "Silent shooter," Cole muttered. "We've got guidance, move on my mark." The team pressed forward, using the sniper's invisible cover. Each step was a delicate balance between stealth and speed. The ravine, once a trap, began to feel slightly less like death's cage and more like a corridor to survival. The silent shooter worked like a ghost. Cole could see enemy soldiers attempting to adjust, to regroup, but one by one, the unseen marksman eliminated the threats before they could reorganize. A heavy gunner aiming a machine gun was down before he could fire a single round. Another soldier attempting to flank them never reached the ledge. They simply fell, silent and precise, removed from the battlefield by a hand they couldn't see. Martinez crouched low, amazement written across his bloodied face. "I've never seen anyone like this, not even in training." Cole's focus remained sharp. "Keep moving, follow my lead. He's keeping them busy, but he won't hold them off forever." The SEALs navigated the ravine, inching past fallen enemies and jagged rocks. Their shadows merged with the darkness, and the sense of being watched shifted from fear to reassurance. They weren't alone anymore. Someone who could see the battlefield from a vantage point miles away was guiding them, picking off threats with calm precision. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed in this tense, deadly rhythm. Cole knew that the silent shooter was doing more than saving lives. He was turning the tide of the ambush, creating the space the SEALs needed to survive. And then, a final moment that would define the night. A coordinated volley from the remaining enemy soldiers, desperate and chaotic, aimed at pinning the SEALs completely. Before the bullets could strike, a single figure atop a distant ridge collapsed another 3 enemy soldiers in a blink. No sound, no warning, just deadly precision. Cole froze, allowing himself a rare moment of awe. He's incredible, absolute professional, U.S. trained. Martinez shook his head, whispering in disbelief. He's like a ghost, silent, invisible, lethal. Cole signaled the team forward. Move, slowly, cover to cover, he's got our backs, but stay sharp. One mistake and it's over. The SEALs advanced, guided by the unseen sniper's lethal intervention. Every movement was precise, every step calculated. The enemy, once confident, was now confused and scattered. Their advantage had evaporated under the skill of a single, silent shooter. By the time the SEALs reached a safer ledge, Cole allowed himself a moment to look back. Shadows moved across the ridge, unseen by enemy eyes. He knew, without a doubt, that the sniper had changed everything. For the first time that night, hope replaced fear. Survival was no longer a distant possibility, it was tangible. But Cole also knew one thing: the silent shooter was not there to fight with them. He was there to intervene, precise and unseen, and soon they would have to move beyond his cover. The battle was not over. The night was not yet won. And somewhere above, in the darkness of the mountains, the ghostly figure continued his vigil, unseen, unheard, deadly beyond imagination. The SEALs had been trapped, and yet because of him they were alive. The ravine had quieted, an uneasy, fragile calm. The once relentless ambush had faltered under the intervention of the unseen marksman. SEAL Team 6 crouched behind jagged rocks, every sense taut, every breath measured. The adrenaline that had fueled them for hours now coiled in their muscles like electric current, ready to surge at the slightest provocation. Lieutenant Jason Cole surveyed the battlefield through his night vision goggles. He could see the scattered bodies of enemy combatants, fallen in odd, unnatural positions. No return fire had come from their ranks for minutes. The silent shooter wasn't just a sniper, he was a surgical force, dismantling the enemy's command and control without alerting them to his presence. Cole tapped his throat mic. Davis, check left sector. Martinez, right, keep eyes open. We advance on my signal. Martinez, still shaken but focused, whispered, Sir, I still can't wrap my head around this. That guy, he's unreal. Cole didn't answer, but he felt the same awe. Whoever was up there, miles above the battlefield, invisible and deadly, was altering the entire engagement. Then a crackle came through their encrypted comms, a voice calm, steady and unmistakably trained. SEALs, this is Captain Ethan Hayes. I'm covering your advance. Keep low, stay behind cover. Move when I give the opening. Cole froze. Captain Ethan Hayes. The name hit him like a thunderclap. Hayes had been part of a previous classified operation, reportedly left behind after intel suggested extraction was impossible. No one alive expected to see him again. Yet here he was, deep in enemy territory, silently saving their lives. Cole signaled for the team to freeze. Everyone, eyes forward, he's guiding us. Davis whispered, awe in his voice, Sir, is this for real? He's a ghost. Cole nodded, focus, we follow his lead. Hayes' voice returned. 3 o'clock ridge. Enemy heavy is moving toward your flank. Suppressive fire on the left. Move to the boulder line and I'll clear the ridge. Cole scanned the terrain, then moved his team in measured steps. Each SEAL knew the risk. Even with Hayes' coverage, one misstep could be fatal. But the silent marksman had created a narrow corridor of safety. They moved like shadows, crawling behind boulders and ledges, every motion synchronized with the faint rustle of distant enemy movement. As they advanced, Hayes' precision became apparent. Enemy soldiers attempting to regroup fell silently, often before they could even lift their weapons. His timing was perfect, eliminating threats just as they became a danger, never wasting a shot, never revealing his position. Cole signaled Martinez to move to a higher rock for overwatch. Keep your head low, "Cover our advance. Don't make a sound." Martinez obeyed, his eyes wide. He had never seen such coordination, even in exercises. "It's like he can see the battlefield in slow motion," Martinez muttered. Cole didn't respond. He was too focused on the enemy's next move. From what he could tell, Hayes had already disabled multiple command points. Enemy soldiers ran without direction, firing blindly, panic overtaking discipline. "Good work on suppression," Hayes' calm voice echoed through the comms. "Half of the enemy is pinned. Use the opening to move another 50 meters along the ridge. I'll clear the next sector." The SEALs moved quickly but cautiously. Every movement was deliberate. The ravine, once a death trap, now felt like a path forward, a path created by the unseen sniper's deadly precision. Cole realized they were witnessing a masterclass in battlefield control. Hayes wasn't just killing, he was manipulating, shaping, and controlling the fight. Hours, or maybe minutes, passed in this deadly rhythm. Cole watched enemy movements carefully, noting every reaction to Hayes' intervention. The once coordinated ambush had devolved into chaos. Soldiers scrambled for cover, tried to communicate, shouted commands into the night that fell on deaf ears, and moved into positions already compromised. "Sir," Davis whispered, "we're actually making progress, against all odds." Cole allowed himself a small, grim smile. "We are, thanks to him, but stay sharp. He won't be able to hold them forever. Our movement has to be perfect." The team advanced further, inching along rocks, utilizing every shadow, every small depression, every fallen tree for cover. The SEALs moved like a living organism, a predator shifting in perfect coordination with the ghost on the ridge. "Halfway point reached," Hayes announced. "Prepare for final push. Enemy commander is in the next ravine sector. I'll neutralize him before you engage." Cole exhaled slowly. This was the turning point. The commander, responsible for coordinating the ambush, the kill zones, and the pressure on the SEALs, would fall silently, giving them a chance to break the trap entirely. Moments later, a faint silhouette appeared on a distant ridge. Cole froze, hand tightening on his weapon. Another enemy soldier raised his rifle, but before he could fire, a precise shot struck him in the chest. He collapsed silently, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Martinez whispered, "No, no way, not possible." Cole's eyes scanned the ridge. Nothing, not a trace. That was the ghostly genius of Hayes, perfect timing, invisible presence, and lethal skill. "Move," Cole signaled. "Cover to cover. One misstep and it's over, but we're clear for now." The SEALs pressed forward, coordinated, focused, trusting the unseen ally. Every inch gained was life preserved. The enemy, now leaderless, disoriented, and terrified, was becoming ineffective. Cole thought of all the missions he had survived, all the impossible odds they had faced. Nothing prepared him for this. The presence of a single, unseen force altering the battlefield with calm, deadly efficiency. Hayes wasn't just saving them. He was reshaping the fight itself. The SEALs reached a natural cover point near the center of the ravine. Cole took a moment to check his team. Every operator was tense, alert, but still alive. No small miracle considering the kill zone they had entered hours before. "Good work," he muttered under his breath. "We're still here because of him." Hayes' voice returned, calm and measured. "Commander down. Enemy morale broken. You have 20 seconds to advance to the far boulder cluster. I'll cover your exit corridor for the next phase." Cole signaled the team. "Move out steady, low, watch for stragglers." The SEALs advanced, synchronized, almost dancing along the treacherous terrain. They had survived hours of relentless pressure, pinned in a kill zone, and yet, because of the ghost on the ridge, they were moving toward freedom. Martinez whispered reverently, "It's like he's not even human. A ghost, a shadow lethal and untouchable." Cole nodded, scanning ahead. "He's a force multiplier, but we can't rely on him forever. We finish this now or we die trying. As the team closed in on the enemy's final positions, Cole felt a shift in the night air, a subtle change, almost imperceptible. The enemy, leaderless and panicked, had begun to scatter. Their disciplined ambush had dissolved into chaos. And through it all, the ghost on the ridge continued his silent vigil, invisible, unheard, unstoppable. The SEALs had moved from being trapped prey to a unit capable of maneuvering under fire. All thanks to a single man who had entered the fight like a shadow, a ghost, a silent storm. Cole allowed himself a fleeting thought. We may survive the night, but we'll never forget him. And somewhere above, in the darkness of the mountains, Captain Ethan Hayes watched, waited, and struck silently, a ghostly figure whose deadly precision had turned a certain defeat into a chance for survival. The night air was heavy with smoke and the copper tang of spent gunfire. The once deadly ravine that had trapped SEAL Team 6 now felt different. Not safe, far from it, but there was movement, a momentum that hadn't existed for hours. The unseen marksman above, Captain Ethan Hayes, continued his silent, deadly work, systematically dismantling enemy positions and creating narrow corridors of safety for the SEALs. Lieutenant Jason Cole crouched behind a jagged boulder, scanning the chaotic battlefield through night vision goggles. Enemy soldiers were scattered, leaderless, panicking, their once coordinated ambush falling apart. Hayes' precision had shattered their command structure. Davis, cover left sector. Martinez, right. Garcia, point, Cole ordered, his voice calm but taut with authority. We move fast, stick to shadows, use every advantage. Martinez grunted, adjusting his weapon as he peered into the darkness. Sir, we're actually moving. Against all odds, we're moving. Cole allowed himself a brief nod. Not out of danger yet, but yes, momentum is ours now. Make it count. The SEALs advanced in tight formation, every movement deliberate. They hugged the walls of the ravine, using every boulder, tree, and crevice for cover. The enemy still fired sporadically, but Hayes' invisible hand ensured that their bullets rarely found a mark. The team could feel the shift. The initiative had passed from the enemy to them. From above, Hayes continued his surgical destruction. Heavy gunners, snipers, and scattered squads were methodically neutralized. Each shot was silent, precise, and devastating, forcing the enemy further into disarray. Cole tapped his throat mic. We have the advantage now. Hayes, guide us through the next sector. Keep them pinned while we advance. Roger, Hayes' calm voice replied. 3 o'clock ridge. Enemies attempting to regroup. I'll suppress. You push forward along the eastern boulder line. Move slow, deliberate, keep low. The SEALs obeyed, crawling from cover to cover. Each step was calculated, measured in inches. Their training allowed them to move as a single organism, every operator anticipating the next move of his teammates, synchronized like a machine built for survival. Martinez whispered, awe in his voice. It's like he's seeing everything. Every enemy, every movement. He's untouchable, impossible. Cole didn't respond. His eyes were fixed on the terrain ahead, calculating angles, ranges, and cover. Hayes' intervention had created the opportunity, but it was up to the SEALs to exploit it. They reached a small ledge overlooking an enemy stronghold, a narrow valley where remaining hostile forces had gathered. Cole's jaw tightened. This was the final choke point. To break free completely, they had to move through it, but it was still heavily defended. Davis, suppressive fire on the left. Martinez, stay low, pick off targets when you can. Garcia and I will move to the boulder cluster for better cover, Cole instructed. The SEALs executed the maneuver with clockwork precision. Bullets zipped past, ricocheting off rocks, kicking up clouds of dust and gravel. Enemy fire was still deadly, but Hayes' unseen shots dismantled the enemy's heavy positions, removing key threats just as they became dangerous. Cole's pulse raced as he advanced with Garcia. They moved silently, crouched low, every step a gamble. Then Martinez whispered urgently, Sir, Sniper, far ridge. They're regrouping. Cole nodded, covering fire, let's go. Davis opened fire with controlled bursts, pinning down the enemy. The SEALs moved like shadows, exploiting every opening. Hayes' silent precision ensured the enemy's attempts to flank or reinforce were cut down before they could react. Good, Cole muttered. Keep moving, momentum is ours. The team reached the edge of the enemy stronghold. Through night vision, Cole could see the chaos. Soldiers firing blindly, coordination gone, morale shattered. The SEALs now had the initiative, and Hayes' intervention had turned the tide. Cole signaled Martinez and Davis to move to higher positions for overwatch. Hold here. Cover our advance. I'll move forward with Garcia to secure the next ridge. The SEALs advanced, clearing the last pockets of resistance with lethal efficiency. The enemy, once confident and disciplined, was now scattered, leaderless, and terrified. Hayes' intervention had not just saved the SEALs, it had completely shifted the battlefield dynamic. Cole paused briefly to catch his breath. We've turned the tide, he whispered, but extraction isn't safe yet. Hayes, any threats remaining? Two squads attempting regroup near the far ridge, Hayes replied calmly. I'll neutralize them. You have a clear path for extraction once they're down. The SEALs advanced under the cover of rocks and darkness. Each step brought them closer to safety, but Cole remained vigilant. Every shadow could conceal a hidden enemy. Every movement could be the difference between life and death. As they moved, Cole allowed himself a rare thought. Survival tonight was no longer a gamble. It was possible. The silent shooter had become the unseen backbone of their operation, turning certain death into a fighting chance. Minutes later, Hayes' shots rang out again, silent, precise, and deadly. Enemy soldiers fell in perfect coordination, unable to react. The SEALs pushed forward, adrenaline surging with every step. Almost there, Cole muttered, signaling the team to the ridge cluster. One more push and we break the trap completely. The team moved in unison, covering each other, every motion rehearsed 100 times in training but executed flawlessly under fire. The chaos below was staggering. Enemy soldiers scrambled for cover, unaware that their leaderless group had already been crippled. Cole glanced at Martinez. See that? That's precision, that's skill, that's what we fight for. Martinez nodded, still catching his breath. I've never seen anything like it, even in advanced ops. They reached the top of the ridge cluster. Cole signaled for a halt. Through night vision, he could see the valley below, the enemy scattered and the path ahead partially cleared. The SEALs had survived the trap. They had regained the initiative. Hayes' voice came over the comms one last time before guiding them to extraction. Final threats neutralized. You have 5 minutes to reach the landing zone. I'll cover your path. Move fast, move low. Cole's jaw tightened. Team, we move steady, quick, no mistakes, follow my lead. The SEALs moved through the cleared path, Hayes' silent cover ensuring that the last enemy threats were neutralized before they could reach them. Every step was tense, every movement deliberate. The momentum had shifted completely, the predators had become prey, and the SEALs were finally in control. By the time they reached the extraction corridor, Cole allowed himself a fleeting glance at the distant ridges above. The ghostly figure of Hayes was still there, unseen, unheard, deadly. He had changed the night. He had saved them all. Cole exhaled slowly. We're still alive because of him, but the fight isn't over yet. Extraction is the last step. The SEALs pressed on, hearts pounding, muscles trembling but moving with lethal precision. The momentum had shifted. The trap had been broken, and somewhere above, invisible and untouchable, the ghost on the ridge continued his vigil. The night air was still heavy, but now filled with possibility. Survival was no longer just hope, it was within their grasp. The distant rotors of approaching helicopters cut through the night, faint at first, like a distant promise of salvation. Lieutenant Jason Cole's eyes, scanning the ridge, locked on the dim glow of lights below the extraction point. Finally, a chance to leave the nightmare of the kill zone behind. But the valley was not yet clear. Enemy remnants, scattered and desperate, still lingered, taking cover and firing sporadically at any movement. Every second counted. One misstep and the SEALs could be cut down before reaching safety. Cole crouched behind a boulder, signaling his team. Final push to the LZ. Follow my lead, keep low, watch each other's backs, every second matters. Martinez checked his weapon, muttering under his breath, I can't believe we made it this far, barely. Cole shot him a sharp look. Focus, there's no room for disbelief, only survival. Captain Ethan Hayes' calm, measured voice crackled through the comms. SEALs, I have your 6. Enemy is trying to regroup near the tree line. I'll clear the path for you. Move fast, move low. Cole allowed himself a silent nod. Hayes' intervention had already saved them multiple times. Without him, they wouldn't even be discussing extraction. They would be casualties. The team moved as one, a lethal unit crawling from rock to rock. Bullets whizzed past, striking nearby boulders with sharp cracks that echoed through the ravine. The SEALs returned fire sparingly, aimed, precise, only when absolutely necessary. They had to conserve ammunition until they reached the helicopters. Davis whispered, voice tight with tension, Sir, I've never been this tense in training, not even close. Cole didn't reply. Words weren't necessary. The rhythm of movement, the coordination of fire, and the trust in Hayes' cover dictated their pace. Every movement was calculated, every second a battle against death. The enemy had one last trick, a hidden machine gun nest atop a ridge, lined perfectly to rake the extraction corridor. Cole spotted it through the night vision lens. Contact, he muttered, signaling Martinez. Suppressive fire, we move on my mark. Martinez responded instantly, spraying controlled bursts at the ridge, forcing the gunner to duck and reload. The SEALs surged forward in tandem, covering each other, bounding from boulder to boulder. Every step brought them closer to salvation, but every step also carried mortal risk. Suddenly, a sharp crack rang out, unnaturally precise. The machine gun nest's gunner collapsed mid-reload, rifle swinging loosely in his hands. Cole's pulse jumped, and Martinez froze. It's him, Martinez whispered in awe. Hayes, he's covering us again. Cole allowed himself a brief smile. Stay focused, we're not safe yet. They reached the last open stretch of the valley. The extraction zone glowed faintly, the helicopter's spotlights piercing the darkness. But the enemy still tried to disrupt their advance, sporadically firing from hidden positions. Cole signaled for bounding fire. Davis and Martinez provided suppressive fire while Cole and Garcia moved ahead, clearing the path inch by inch. A grenade clattered nearby, forcing the SEALs into low cover. The blast threw dirt and debris into the air, the smell of gunpowder thick in their lungs. They pressed forward anyway, adrenaline surging through every fiber of their bodies. Hayes' voice cut through the chaos. Enemy attempting flank from East Ridge. 2 soldiers lightly armed. I've got them, keep moving. Cole nodded, grateful. Hayes was invisible, untouchable, and deadly. He wasn't just providing cover. He was dismantling the enemy's ability to fight back. Every shot the sniper fired created breathing room, corridors of survival, and opportunities for the SEALs to advance. The helicopters were now audible, their engines louder, carrying the promise of escape. But the enemy, now desperate, increased their fire. A round struck the ground near Davis, sending gravel spraying into his face. He grunted but remained on his feet, returning fire in short, precise bursts. Cole signaled the team to advance together. Final push, halfway to the LZ, keep moving low and fast. The SEALs sprinted in short bursts, diving behind boulders and fallen trees. Hayes continued his unseen work above, taking down heavy gunners and snipers attempting to cover the corridor. Each precise shot saved lives. Each fallen enemy further cleared the path to extraction. As they neared the landing zone, the enemy tried one last desperate maneuver. A squad attempted to cut off the SEALs from the East Ridge, hopping to trap them between the ridge and the LZ. Cole froze, calculating options in an instant. Bounding fire right side, Davis Martinez suppressive fire on East Ridge, Garcia and I flank left, move. The SEALs executed flawlessly. Bullets ripped past, boulders shattered under fire, and enemy soldiers fell in scattered chaos. Hayes, shots struck before they could even react, surgical and silent, eliminating the most dangerous threats before they could reach firing positions. The helicopters descended into the valley. Their spotlights illuminated the ravine, showing the SEALs in stark relief against the rocks. Cole signaled with a flashlight, a coded pattern, and the birds hovered, ready to take them out. But the enemy wasn't finished. A lone sniper on a distant ridge fired a single shot, tearing a hole through the air near Martinez. He ducked instinctively, heart hammering. Cole realized the extraction would be tight. Every second mattered. Hayes' voice was calm, controlled. "I've got your 6, move fast. I'll cover the East Ridge for 30 seconds, then you're on your own. Go." Cole signaled the team. "Go, move to the LZ." The SEALs sprinted in unison, weapons ready, bodies low, adrenaline surging. Bullets kicked up dirt around them, but the corridor was mostly clear. Hayes' precision fire neutralized the remaining threats just as they became dangerous. Davis glanced back, eyes wide. "He's still there, covering us, invisible." Cole didn't respond. He was focused on the landing zone. The helicopters hovered, side doors open, ropes dangling. They were almost there. Martinez tripped over a jagged rock, falling hard. Cole grabbed his arm, pulling him up instantly. "Keep moving, no time to stop." The team surged forward, and for the first time in hours, the extraction point was within reach. Helicopter blades whipped the air, sending debris flying, but the SEALs moved with speed and precision, weapons at the ready for any last-minute threats. As they reached the rope lines, Cole glanced at his team, exhausted, bloodied, and tense, but alive. Hayes' unseen hand had guided them, saved them, and given them the chance to survive the impossible. Cole climbed first, signaling for the others to follow. Martinez, Davis, and Garcia quickly ascended, each operator moving with the speed and efficiency of seasoned warriors. Cole lingered for a moment, scanning the ravine below. Enemy forces were in retreat, leaderless, demoralized, and scattered. And somewhere up there, high on the ridge, invisible, untouchable, Hayes was still watching, silent, deadly. As the last SEAL climbed aboard the helicopter, Cole finally allowed himself to breathe. They had escaped the ambush. They had survived the impossible, and though they didn't see him, they all knew who had turned the tide. The rotor blades rose, carrying the SEALs away from the death trap of the ravine. Cole looked back at the shadowy peaks, the rugged ridges where they had fought and survived. Somewhere up there, Hayes remained, a ghostly sentinel, silent, lethal, and unseen. Cole exhaled slowly, heart still hammering. "We owe him everything," he muttered. "Every life saved." Martinez, sitting beside him, nodded, still pale from the adrenaline. "No one's going to believe this, not in reports, not in the media, but I'll never forget him." Cole's eyes narrowed toward the mountains. "Neither will I, ghost or not, he saved us, and tonight that's all that matters." As the helicopter rose higher, leaving the kill zone behind, the SEALs finally allowed themselves to relax, if only slightly. Their ordeal wasn't over. They would debrief, patch wounds, and prepare for the next mission. But for now, they had survived the night. They had survived a trap that seemed impossible. And somewhere above the ridges, in the darkness, Captain Ethan Hayes watched the valley one last time before disappearing into the shadows. He had intervened like a phantom, invisible and unstoppable, a ghost whose lethal precision had turned certain defeat into survival. The night was silent again, but the echoes of survival, courage, and deadly skill lingered. The rotors of the helicopters faded behind them as the mountains receded into darkness. Lieutenant Jason Cole sat on the edge of the aircraft, bloodied, bruised, and exhausted, yet alive. Around him, SEAL Team 6 breathed in ragged relief, muscles trembling from adrenaline, hearts still racing, and eyes haunted by the night they had survived. The valley below, once a death trap, was now quiet. Smoke from spent gunfire still curled lazily over the jagged rocks, mingling with the cold mountain air. Cole's gaze swept over it all, remembering every second of terror, every calculated move, and every life saved by a presence they had only glimpsed through the fog of combat. Martinez, still clutching his weapon, broke the silence. "Sir, I don't even know where to start. That was unreal, impossible." Cole let out a deep, steadying breath. "Start with this. We survived. Against impossible odds, we survived." Davis, seated beside him, shook his head. "Not just survived, someone saved us. That sniper Hayes, he's like nothing I've ever seen. He didn't just cover us. He dismantled their entire operation. Silent, invisible, untouchable." Cole's jaw tightened. "We saw what he can do, and we know what he did tonight. Every one of us owes our lives to him." The team fell into a quiet reflection. Each operator replayed the night in their minds. The ambush, the trap, the relentless enemy fire, and Hayes' interventions, precise, lethal, and ghostly. They had been cornered, running out of options, and yet somehow a single unseen force had turned a certain death into survival. Cole's thoughts drifted to Hayes himself. A man thought lost, a ghost of previous missions, now revealed as the invisible hand guiding them through chaos. He had operated alone, lethal and methodical, without recognition, without fanfare. Yet every life they had preserved tonight had been because of him. "Do you think he's watching now?" Martinez asked quietly. "Still out there, somewhere in the mountains?" Cole nodded slowly. "He probably is, always watching. That's what he does, that's who he is, a ghost. Silent, precise, lethal, and tonight he saved us all." The helicopters hummed steadily, carrying them to base, but the weight of the night lingered. Each operator's mind was a battlefield of memory and adrenaline, reliving the fear, the chaos, and the relentless precision of Hayes' intervention. Cole looked around at his team. "We were pinned, trapped, outgunned, but we adapted, we fought, and we survived. That's what SEALs do. That's what we're trained for. But tonight it wasn't just training, it was him. Hayes, silent, deadly, unstoppable." Davis let out a low whistle. "I can't even imagine what it takes to operate like that. Alone, invisible, watching everything, making every shot count. He's not just a sniper, he's a force of nature." Cole nodded, his mind tracing the final moments of the extraction. Hayes had covered every angle, neutralized every critical threat, and given the SEALs just enough room to reach the helicopters. It had been surgical, methodical, and perfect. The team's quiet reflection was broken by the approach of command officers at the extraction site. Cole reported succinctly, "Mission complete, all team members alive, ambush neutralized, enemy casualties consistent with engagement." An officer looked at him, surprise in his eyes. "You all survived, all of you." Cole allowed himself a wry, exhausted smile. "Yes, but it wasn't just us. There was help, invisible, lethal, and we owe every life to that intervention." The officers didn't fully understand the precision, the timing, the silent marksmanship that had saved them, but Cole didn't need them to. They knew. They had seen it with their own eyes in fragments. They had felt the relief, the shift in momentum, the presence of a force beyond comprehension that had turned the battle. Once debriefed, the SEALs were given medical checks. Cuts, bruises, and minor shrapnel wounds were tended to, but the physical pain paled in comparison to the mental weight of what they had endured. Hours of relentless tension, every decision potentially fatal, and the knowledge that death had been inches away at every step. These were scars that would linger far longer than any bandage could cover. Cole stepped outside into the cold night air, inhaling deeply. The mountains loomed silently, their jagged peaks silhouetted against the faint glow of distant lights. Somewhere up there, Captain Ethan Hayes moved unseen, a silent guardian, a ghost who had intervened in the impossible. Cole allowed himself a thought he hadn't permitted during the fight: gratitude, respect, awe. Martinez joined him, voice quiet. "Do you think we'll ever see him again, or is he gone like a shadow?" Cole's eyes swept the peaks. "He's always out there, somewhere, watching, waiting, intervening where he's needed. That's who he is, a ghost, and maybe that's enough." The SEALs gathered, silent but united. They had survived a trap that would have killed any other unit. They had faced death head-on, pinned in a valley designed to be a grave. And yet, they were alive. Not just alive, but whole. Not just trained warriors, but witnesses to something extraordinary, human skill elevated to a level beyond ordinary comprehension. Cole addressed his team quietly but with the weight of leadership. "Tonight we survived because of each other, because of training, because of instinct, and because of him. Remember this: skill, discipline, courage, and a little bit of luck, that's what survival is. Hayes gave us more than luck. He gave us a second chance." Davis exhaled, voice heavy with emotion. "I'll never forget this night, or him. Ghost or not, he changed everything." Cole nodded, feeling the same. "Neither will I, and every mission after this will honor what happened tonight. Silent, deadly, precise, that's what saved us." As the team prepared to move back to base, the mountains behind them were silent once more. The ravine, once a deadly trap, was now quiet, empty, a graveyard of chaos and the remnants of a fight against impossible odds. Somewhere high on the ridges, Hayes had vanished as silently as he had appeared. The SEALs would never know his path, never see him descend, never witness his departure. But they would never forget him, the ghost who had turned certain death into survival. Cole paused one last time, looking toward the peaks, the wind brushing against his face. "We survived the night," he said quietly, "and we'll live to fight another day, thanks to him." And with that, the team moved forward together, stronger, united, and forever changed by the events of the night. They had survived the impossible, and though the silent ghost remained unseen, his presence lingered, etched into memory, respect, and the unspoken understanding that some battles are won not just by skill, but by those who intervene in the shadows. The night was calm now. The mountains loomed silently, shadows stretching over the ravine. But the echoes of courage, survival, and deadly skill lingered. And somewhere, invisible to all, the ghost on the ridge watched, waited, and remained. A silent guardian, unseen but unforgettable.